The following program is a Nighthawk Network presentation.
We are two Unks Talking TV. You know the shows that you grew up watching, like Family Matters, Facts of Life, and Three's Company too. So come and join us and take a walk down memory lane as we talk about these shows that are so nostalgic. We're just to us talking TV, and when you hear about the shows we're talking about, it's gonna jog your memory.
What's good, y'all? Your boy Uncle E-Buck in the building. What's happening? It's Thursday. We do something new on Thursdays these days. We be talking TV. Talking about some of your favorite classic old school episodes or some of your favorite shows and movies from back in the day, because that's just a good conversation to have, especially on a cold day like this. And of course, I had this conversation whether y'all here or not, because I'm usually having it with that dude right there, my podcast partner in crime, Uncle Hugh Lee. What's happening?
What's good, E?
What's going on, man? I'm ready to talk this TV. What we talking tonight, Hugh?
That 70s show.
So basically, we're gonna be hanging out down the
Yeah.
street, doing that same old thing we did last week.
Mm-hmm.
Cause we ain't got a thing to do but talk to you. It's all right. Y'all remember the song, y'all? We can't sing it because you know they're gonna flag us. Facebook be tripping like that. They wouldn't even let me put it in the promo, man. That's messed up. And they
Yeah,
the
because
ones that suggested it.
the copyright theme, So,
But they
yeah,
the
kind
ones
of.
that said, yeah, you should add this to this. This fits.
Man, you already should know what I've been through with Facebook, what happened
I
before.
already know you barely wants to deal with
Yeah,
Facebook. I understand. But
this thing had.
yeah, but anyway, y'all, we ain't gonna let that hold us up. We is talking TV. Hopefully, y'all is chiming in like y'all did last week. Remember, we want to hear from you, the people. Let us know your favorite episodes, your favorite people on the show, your favorite moments, some of your favorite actors that hosted on the show. That 70 show was another one of them shows that lasted a little while. 8 seasons, man. 8 seasons. What's your thoughts on it, Hugh? When did you start watching that 70 show?
Yeah, I think I talked about it, unfortunately, and I shouldn't have last week. I gave people a hint, though, so they can kind of check me out. Yeah, man, I was hanging out, man. It was half a day of school in high school, man.
Was you down the street?
The funny thing is, yes, I live right down the street from McKenzie, bro. I'm like
Oh,
on
all
Chicago,
right.
Miami, Omi area. I live next to both. I think Drew is like not even a mile away from my house. McKenzie was like about 2.5, 3 miles away from the house, man. It was kind of strange, but yeah, it was definitely down the street. I'm on my way home. One of my boys pulled up, man, and he had his vehicle. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? What you about to get into? He like, nothing much, you, man. I'm about to go chill. And he was with his girl, so I'm like, okay, I'm not thinking about nothing about it. And when we talking, he was basically like, yeah, man, you want to hang with us? I'm like, man, I ain't trying to be no third wheel. Thinking to myself, I think I'm good, man. I think you got this. He had somebody with him, and I wasn't expecting that. So I was like, okay, man, so what y'all talking about getting into? So we went, kind of hung out, kicked it. It wasn't really done, just regular day, regular half a day after school. And of course, he had some of that fire with him, man. And when I ended up, indulging in those situations. Yes, I indulged in the marijuana back in the day.
Not the
Um,
tree, not the tree.
we was hanging out, and I got back to the house, man. By the time I got home, turned on TV. Guess what's on, man? A '70s show, and it was like around the first season. So I'm seeing them around, and in the circle or by the table, hanging out, doing what we just got finished doing. Conversation was trippy that they was having, so I'm laughing, having a good time because I'm a little high at the time, so I can relate with them and the silliness they was doing. I don't know if you remember the episode. I think it was when Jackie first hit the weed, and
Okay.
they was talking to her because remember, Hyde was training her because he wanted her to be Zen. And I think it was because of the fact that when she found out that Kelso was cheating on her with what's my girl's name, Lori. Dang, I mean, Cunan still looks super hot. And when she was
The
cheating, he was cheating with Lori. And so when she found out that,
now,
rest my,
now question was it the first Lord or the second Lord?
it was the first Lori.
Yeah,
Remember, it was the first episodes.
yeah,
So
we will definitely talk about that, y'all. But go ahead.
when that happened, that's when she wanted to be Zen. She broke up with Kelso, of course, and then he was teaching her how to be Zen. And when she smoked the weed, he was like, Jackie, show him what I was teaching you. And she high, she eating cake or something and spilling out of her mouth. And it was one of those funny episodes that I seen that I was kind of relating to. But after seeing that episode and enjoying myself and laughing my ass off, I said, yeah, this is definitely something I need to watch because I indulged at the time, in marijuana. So yeah, of course I wanted to chill and watch the show. Hey, what's up, bro?
Bro, checking in. What's going on, bro? Don't chime on in.
But yeah, it was some good episodes, man. And that was my start of the That 70 show. Just hanging out with some of my friends half a day, hit a little bit of marijuana, went home, and that one was on TV, man. And that was perfect timing, man, because ever since then, I watched it ever since from all the way from season 1 to season 8.
So keep in mind, that 70 show started in 1998. I always find it interesting our perspectives because remember, I'm about 8, 9 years older than Hugh. So, when we did things, it was at the same time, but we was at different levels of life. So, of course, he was doing high school at that point. I was just getting out of college, a couple
Hmm.
of years out. So, I really didn't even start watching the show to maybe like season 3 because the first couple of years I was working.
Yeah,
I had
because that was my
I
senior year
was
too.
constantly working.
That was my senior year in high school.
So yeah, year 2000, that was like season 3. I started watching. So I was kind of behind on some of the earlier stuff. Obviously, I didn't caught up over the years because once it hit syndication big time. But
Yeah.
I really started watching right around when they was juniors, seniors. You know what I'm saying? So at that point, I think that was around the episodes where Lori was going to college, and that was the year I believe Red lost his job and all that good stuff. So
Yeah.
that's
They
the
had
time when they really got involved. The first couple seasons they did little stuff, but they really didn't get into it until around season 3. Because that first season, that's when Eric, of course, played by Topher Grace. Y'all remember this dude, right? Let me see. Yeah, that guy right there. Yeah, he messed around and was all I kind of like her. I don't know what to do, and we went through that whole thing. Then of course Jackie came on the scene with Kelso, and they went through their little Micah, but Micah, and then he finally did it with her, and you know that I mean, think about it. Why I like that show is because it reminds you of how stuff was when you was growing up. Keep in
yeah.
mind, he was literally growing up while they was growing up. It was around that
Mhm.
same time the show
Perfect
was.
timing. It was perfect
Them
timing.
was basically 10 years prior for me, but a lot of the stuff they did on the show, I mean, keep in mind, we wasn't smokers, so we didn't smoke. We didn't really drink, but we did hang out in the basement and stuff like that, playing the video game and whatever, watching
Mhm.
the TV and whatnot. So could relate to a lot of that. We was, basically growing up around the people in the neighborhood. Them was our first girlfriends and all of that. So could relate to a lot of what was going on there. The whole high school thing, and like, okay, well, yeah, there's always the one kid that like all the females and was hanging out. Because keep in mind, Kelso and Jackie, that lasted way longer than it probably should have. Because that whole time, Kelso was out there.
He was out there, man.
Mhm.
Everywhere you turn. Remember, he had that hookup when he was with Jessica Simpson too, man. When he went
Oh
out there
yeah.
to California, that was actually a pretty good one too.
Now, low key, he ended up with some pretty nice looking females throughout the show.
He did.
Cause remember, he had Jessica Simpson.
Hmm.
He was with let me see, do I still have that picture? Of course, he was with Lori for a little while.
Yeah.
That's sad what happened to Lori, man.
Yeah, it did, man. I definitely was stunned when I first found out. And that's when the internet really started hitting too, man. And when we found out what happened to her, man, because I didn't know that she got caught stealing, man, and she was heavy on drugs. Her and her husband, it was really
Yeah,
bad.
and that pretty much was going on throughout her whole time doing the show. So
Yeah,
that's
and they
why
kept her on
eventually they
the
got
race.
rid of her.
And that's why when you showed that second Lori, that's why, it was like
That's why
enough
we
of
end up with
her.
second Lori, right? Who's a pretty decent actress in her own right. I mean, it's kind of crazy because it don't usually work out like that all the time. Usually, when people do these shows, they pretty much kind of get typecast from that point on. So they really don't get a lot of good work after they do the show for that long. It was kind of the opposite with that 70s show.
Absolutely.
A lot of these kids went on and they think about it. Right now, I still would say Ashton Kutcher, definitely one of the biggest actors out here. What about this dude here?
Yeah, fans, that was my man's.
Balderrama. I mean, cause think about it. If that dude don't scream actor, model, I don't know who do. You know what I'm saying? You
Because
know,
remember, he on CSI still, ain't he? The
exactly.
new
And
episodes,
been
yeah.
doing that for seasons. Plus,
Yeah, you
he
have.
pops up in a movie here and there. Damn good actor. Okay, then of course, don't forget Mila Kunis. She did
Yeah.
several movies after the fact. You got Topher Grace. Remember his role in Spider Man.
Don't want to remember.
I mean, keep in mind, at one point went for the role of Spider Man. Didn't get that, but he still got in the movie. So he part of that Marvel type universe. Then of
Yes,
course
so
you had the girl that played Mrs. Pinciotti. I hate her in this black hair, by the way. No. She just don't look right with the black hair now.
I liked it with the red hair.
And that might actually be her real hair color, that red hair. But then of course there was the seasons when she was hot Donna and had the blonde hair. I just didn't like her with the blonde hair either, honestly. Plus
I
her
thought
weight
it
kind of
was too much.
fluctuated a lot over those years in the show. Because she was kind of chunky one season, then she was kind of look too thin another season. You know what I'm saying?
She never was really super big. She just was basically, seemed like a regular average weight. Then she'll lose and gain it back and lose. So you never knew what, down that you was going to get on the show.
Right. I mean, keep in mind, they always pretty much on the show in their early 20s. That's kind of why I took some of these pictures. I mean, looking at their ages now 45, 49, 47. See what I'm saying? So when they was doing the show, they was like in their early 20s, late
Except for
10s.
Jackie, because remember, she was 14 when
Yeah,
she
she
stepped.
was the youngest person on the show. Thusly, she's the youngest person now. Now, the question, Hugh, because we like to throw a little trivia in with y'all. Who was the oldest person to ever be on the show?
The oldest person in general.
Yes.
I'm trying to see.
You think it too hard.
It had to be Red.
Wrong. He not even the oldest person that was part of the regular cast.
Are you sure? He looked the oldest.
You see how old he is, right? 82.
Yeah.
But then, of course, remember, we had good old Leo, also known
Damn.
in real life as Tommy Chung, who is
Tommy Tune
now
again.
87 years old.
Yeah,
So,
he
yeah,
definitely.
he was the oldest member of the regular cast, but neither one of them was the oldest person to ever be on the show. That honor went to Miss Betty White, who lived to be 99 and a half. So when she was on that 70 show, I think she was even 80 something back then.
She definitely was on there, man, and had a really good part too, man. And the young lady who played Red's mama was hilarious too, though.
Yeah, that would be Marion Ross, who, of course, y'all should remember from Happy Days, who played the mom on Happy Days. I mean, it was a lot of. I mean, that's part of why you like the show. A lot of the people that had guest star
It
or
was
be
like
on the
70
show
throwbacks.
was people that was on '70s type shows.
Yeah,
I mean,
remember they had the
perfect.
Parker family on there at one point.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a lot
I
of
love
people.
this. I love this picture of them right here. That's probably the best one I found. Look at the lady next to Don Stark, who played, of course,
Oh,
Donna's mama. That would be Miss Tanya Roberts. I know you remember her.
yeah, Miss
Yeah,
Charlie's Angel,
Donna mama had it going on.
Midge. Yeah,
But of course, she did ever since them days when she played in Charlie's Angels back in the '70s. Because remember, she the one who took Farrah Fawcett's place when she left. On that I ain't making enough money type tip. You know how that go.
oh yeah, we've seen that in the past. Three's Company,
Right. Okay. Some of my favorite episodes. Let's talk about that. I just seen the episode, not last night, but the night before last. The episode where Eric has his cousin come up from Florida to stay with them for a couple weeks, and
Yes.
we kind of find out that he had been teasing her when she was little, and this was her about to get her revenge. Crazy episode, man.
Yeah, that was old girl Brittany Daniel, man. She was real funny on there too. A lot of people would know her from the White Chicks. She was one of the villains on there on the White Chicks. But yeah, she was real funny on that '70s show because she was acting like she had interest in Eric. And that's when Eric was like going along with it. But I believe everybody set him up on that tip too. It was pretty funny.
Right. And I think more people will probably know Brittany Daniel from two things. One, remember, Brittany Daniel actually has a twin in real life, and both her and her twin played on the show Sweet Valley High back in the day. That was one of them WB shows. So me and you didn't watch it, of course, but a lot of the younger kids may have. And then, of course, a lot of y'all probably know Brittany Daniel more so for her role as Jason Pitt's wife on The Game.
I have no idea. I never seen the game.
You've never seen the TV show The Game?
Not one episode.
About the football?
No.
I'm stunned by that, Hugh.
By that time, I was watching Playmakers. You got to understand the ESPN show.
But The Game was like one of the more popular shows on TV at the time.
Yeah.
So much so when they took it off, they ended up bringing it back on BET. And it went on for 4 more seasons. But yeah, anyway, like I said, they had a lot of people on that show, and we forgot that they was on that show. Like another episode when Hyde's mom, who was played by Katie Seagal. Now I know y'all know who Katie Seagal is.
Mm-hmm.
She is facing TV royalty. Of course, she played Peggy Bundy. She, of course, played recently on The Connors as Dan's second wife. Couple other shows she played on.
She played on that biker show on TV too. I forgot the name of that show. It was a really good show too.
And then, of course, she played the voice of one of the robots in Futurama. She played that. She did a couple episodes of The Simpsons.
Wow.
Yep. So yeah, she been in a little bit of everywhere.
And I should feel bad too because that biker show is very popular too. Even one of the more popular shows, I believe, that was on FX is just not coming to me right now.
True. But yeah, I liked her still. I mean, unfortunately, she basically decided to leave Steven. But that's probably what really made the show and some of those other seasons. Because once he started living with Eric and all of them, that really is where they got into some of their greater adventures.
Yeah. I had a brain for it, man. Sons of Anarchy.
There you go.
That was a really good show.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, what's some of the other stuff you remember, Hugh?
One of my favorites was the one with Eric, got caught, because I believe him and Donna was about to get married and she wanted to be celibate and she didn't want to mess around. And then he got caught by, I think, by her, doing what he was supposed to be doing.
Right.
with some pictures of
Go
Midge.
on tour, right?
Yeah, with pictures of Midge, man. And she was like, you're playing with yourself, and she was like, oh my god, you looking at pictures of my mom. So she was really pissed off. Yeah, the whole episode though. No, was it her mom or was it Brooke? I forgot, but I know she was devastated because Bob has some nice chicks on there too, man. Don't get that twisted.
Absolutely, no doubt.
Joanne chick who looked like a dude, but other than
Right.
that, yeah, man, that kind of was one of my favorites because remember, he was like, you was in Vietnam, and Red was talking like, when I was in Vietnam, I didn't do anything like that in '78, and he was like, you wasn't in Vietnam in '78, so basically, it was like he caught himself up in a lie because
Right.
he did it himself, but everybody was getting caught up in it because Eric went over down the house and she always had candles, but they was never lit and they was going down. And, so they was basically coming out with the truth. Like I like to make an event out of it. But all in all, it was just Eric got caught, man. And, they was making all types of jokes about him, which was funny.
Right. And then, of course, outside of the kids, I definitely would say my favorite character was Red because, Red was just Mr. Angry all the time. And it's like whenever you got in trouble, he was first one to come with his famous dumbass. And it was so they be doing some stuff, and in your mind you thinking, okay, Red gonna end up catching them. And sure enough, more times than not, that's exactly what happened. That's why it was crazy. Remember when they finally got caught?
I was just about to say that. That was one of my favorites
all
too.
Them years. I mean, think about it, Hugh. In real life, they had to know they was smoking weed, man.
Something, man, because I know they smelled the smell, man.
I mean, because they was hitting at it on a daily, first of all. Second of all, Kitty was always down in the basement. And she a nurse. Her nose can't be that bad to where she don't smell the weed. Keep in mind, it's the 70s. They ain't really had no spray like that or nothing.
They did have them powerful incense and stuff, though. You don't get it twisted. He definitely was having stuff.
But then I'd be like, why the basement always smell like incense,
Remember when they basically had that episode too, and they was talking about when they first got caught, but one of the funniest ones was not only when they got caught and Red and them was talking and their heads was flipping all over the places, but the one when your girl was like, what is in this little baggie? Deborah Jo Rupp. And when Kitty got that bag, she didn't know what was in there, but I think she sparked one up too, man, and she was real high. And Red was pissed off with her, and she went through the same episode that they was going through, when they were high. So I thought that was another good episode.
Well, see, here's the thing. Maybe what it was she kind of gave them a pass. Cause I think she knew more than Red knew. Because think about it. Kitty was always trying to get drunk, dog.
She was drinking all the time. She had
wine. Always drinking.
When she went through the menopause situation, yeah, she was funny, man.
Oh, the menopause episodes was hilarious. Because she was just clowning on folks.
I forgot. Remember the episode where they had all the 70s wives on there, man? That was when they was talking about how they did things, and she like, oh, nah, I'm not trying to do all that, But it was cool to see a lot of the 70 moms on that episode.
Right. I mean, just, because a lot of times they used to do the little flashbacks, and that's when we would see some of the people from the 70s. I want to say they did one where they had the game show host on there. And they had a couple of them on there.
My man from MASH was on there too, man. It was everybody, man.
Right. Then, of course,
Jamie Farr.
I think they even had an episode where they had a couple of people from What's Happening on there, if I remember right.
I know they had that. I know they used to watch it all the time.
They definitely used to watch it.
I'm trying to see too. Remember the Three's Company? What's Sydney and Larry was on there,
right? And I think that I remember Kelso having a flashback kind of like that Three's Company thing, or was that Fez? It was one of them.
The episode when they had Chili from TLC, man, when she was one of the nurses, man.
Right, I remember that. I wasn't mad at him for trying to get on. See, that's the thing. I mean, unlike some of the shows that's kind of like that, they did kind of, particularly in them later years, have a conscious effort to put more black people on the show, especially when they started to have Tim Reed, who turned out to be Hyde's father for real. Because remember,
Yeah.
at first, I forgot who was the original person we thought was the father. You remember?
Yes. Because he played on one of my favorite movies too. The dude that played on Cat's Eye. I forgot his real name, but he was on Cat's Eye. I'm gonna have to look him up, man. But yeah, he was one of the guys that was his original dad on there, and I think that he was just a really bad dad at first. He had let him hang out. He was letting them drink and stuff. That's when he found out. Remember, when he found out his dad was working at the bar.
All right, we got Big Red checking in,
Yeah, what's
WHR
up,
checking in.
Red?
What's up, Buck and Guru? What's going on, Big Red? Thanks for checking out the show. We appreciate it. Oh, by the way, Hugh, it has been announced by Big Red. We appreciate you, bro, that he is going to take our audios from this show and broadcast him on his station, WAHR. And I believe the same commitment is going for Big Red. For Meech as well. So yeah, if you guys are listening on WHR or WTEA radio, we appreciate you. What up, though?
Absolutely. Thank you for sure.
We appreciate that, Red. Hey, you got Queen Gemini checking into the show. What's going on, Queen? Like I said, y'all checking in. We appreciate y'all checking in. If y'all watch some of the shows we're talking about, feel free to throw in your memories or your favorite people, favorite episodes. Any of that works. By all means, be a part of the discussion. Yeah, Tim Reed, of course, who played Venus Flytrap on WKRP in Cincinnati. Another show that we definitely got to do at some point. No problem, says Big Red. Appreciate you, bro.
Definitely, most definitely.
But yeah, they had him on there. He was Hyde's dad, and that kind of added a interesting flavor. Especially remember the episode when they first found out,
Yeah.
and Kitty was like, "He's black."
And it was funny too because you seen how Eric was acting and everybody was acting kind of different, but it was pretty cool though. It was
Right.
actually.
And then the interesting twist was not only was he black, but he had loot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was, man. He was pretty rich. He had that radio company.
Right, which is kind of interesting when think about it. We talk about Point Place, Wisconsin, okay, in the 70s. It wasn't a lot of black people around that area to begin with. And it definitely wasn't a lot of black people back there in the 70s that had money like that. So it's kind of interesting that that's the route they went with.
What I didn't like about that episode, though, you already know what it went sour. And it wasn't even Hyde. It was him. Remember when he was like, oh, so that's why you wanted to find me and look me up because I'm paid and I'm rich and I got money.
Yeah.
You remember that? And, he was like, man, I just
I was like, I ain't even like that. Because, the Hyde we knew, he ain't give a damn.
No. He lived in that house by himself, man, with Cadence used to go
Right.
off on wild trips with their boyfriends and stuff. And that's when they ended up originally moving Hyde in the house with them.
Yeah, Big Red said it's crazy how we as African Americans was fans of a lot of white actors. It's very true. But then remember, Big Red, it ain't been a lot of good black TV on over the years, unfortunately. That's why, part of why we're doing this show, we will definitely highlight some of those shows. But yeah, some of the better shows just happen to be the shows where all the white people was on.
Mm-hmm. You might have a run in with some black people every now and then, but yeah, you're right. Like one of our favorites we talked about recently was Three's Company,
Love Three's Company, man. One of my favorites ever. And I don't think I recall any black people ever being on that show.
I don't even remember, man. I think the closest they had was my man who played on Weekend at Bernie's. Remember when he was on there, that funeral
and the little Mexican dude that used to work with him in the kitchen when he had the beef truck.
Hilarious, yeah.
And say true.
And Mr. Armino, I guess. Yeah.
That was about the extent of it.
Closest you can get to it,
Yeah.
My man's name from Cat's Eye, who was his father, was Robert Hayes, man. I wish you had a picture of him.
Yeah, he said Mr. Roper. Yeah, that was the dude that played the dad. You right. Mr. Roper was my guy, he said.
Good old
Roper. Now he was a Mr. Furley fan himself.
Yeah, Furley can. I liked his wild get-ups and how wild he was.
Man, yeah, some of them outfits were just outrageous.
His house was wild, man. Too funny.
No doubt.
He was one of them old school wannabe ladies, man.
Right. And then when he's always trying to get with Lana, man, that's great. But no, speaking of people and getting with folks on that 70 show, certain things you figure was going to happen eventually. But probably the thing that was the craziest was the fact that Jackie, who was, the little rich, prissy girl in the beginning of the show, she kind of ended up being the slut of the show, if you think about it.
Because remember when she hooked up? We already knew about her hooking up with Kelso, but remember when she hooked up with Hyde? I remember like it was yesterday. She was upset, and I think that what happened was her and Kelso broke up. She was with an older guy, and Hyde was
Right,
in front of her like, man, you shouldn't be with her, man. Aren't you a little too old to be with her? And he said, yeah, she talks a lot, man. But he said, but yeah, I'm gonna make sure that I get some of that. He said something of that nature. And Hyde overheard it. He ain't like what he heard. He punched him, knocked the dude out. And that's when she was like, well, yeah, you hit him. And then she was like, yeah, you was mad at him. You didn't like what he said about me. She was like, you said, he must have said I'm a bitch, and that's when you hit him. And that's when she put two and two together, and they
right,
went out big day. And then they started kicking it a little while after, because I mean, it took a minute because she went back to Kelso, of course, but then eventually her and High started kicking it, because remember what happened with Jackie's father. We
right.
talked about
With the prison and whatnot. Yeah,
that. And she was over there at their house, at the
right.
foreman's house.
And
Mhm.
remember, she was sneaking in, and
Yeah,
that she'd be in Hyde's room because he had the
yeah,
little room,
in the
in the
basement.
back. I mean, how big was that basement, by the way?
It was big as hell. Remember when she remodeled his room? It had to be the big basement,
I mean,
man.
because think
Especially
about it,
the part we didn't
it
see.
was it was Hyde's room in the basement. It was the room where they smoked because that was different than where they was watching TV and stuff. I think that was a
Yeah,
whole little separate area.
yeah.
That's part of why they ain't, see that they was smoking. And then there was another little room that came into play in there somewhere.
Because remember, when they used to chill too, the little laundry
Right, and
area
there was
was
and there was
nice. So
always something going on in that little bathtub area too. Somebody was always hiding in there.
everybody, Feds was hiding in there with Donna and
Fez was always
Reggie
hiding there with
messing
his little
around.
nasty self. I mean,
Yeah,
think about it. It represents a lot of stuff that people grew up with. Everybody had that little kid in the crew that was always trying to watch people do stuff. That was Fez. Everybody had that dude that was just a dum dum. That was Kelso. Everybody had
Kelso.
that one little smart nerdy dude. That was Eric. You know what I'm saying? Everybody
Then
had
the
that
re-
tall kind of Tom girl type girl. That was Donna.
And then the reject was Hyde, the cool reject, the rebellious one. And
Right?
that's when he was saying it kind of clicked, and he put two to two together, because he was always suspicious of the man, and he always had those theories when he was like, well, it makes sense that I'm black. So yeah, you had your good roles and the good people in there too. But with the good, we got to talk about the bad eventually too. E, that's when I see you shaking your head.
You're going with it, man.
Yeah, man. Hi, man. Is he still in jail as we speak?
From my understanding, that brother is doing a hot 25 because
Yeah,
unfortunately, while that 70 show was going on, even he was doing some not so good stuff.
he was slipping women roofies, man. And I know he messed around with one of the heavy metal groups that I used to listen to, Mars Volta. He messed around with one of the lead singer's wife. And he did that to many women, man. They said that they will wake up not knowing what happened.
Right now, the ironic part is he didn't seem to do that to none of his co-stars or whatnot. But then, of
Did you
course,
hear the rumors? Oh,
go
my
ahead.
bad. Go ahead.
No, no,
You
go
heard the
ahead.
rumors though? They were
What's that?
saying he was getting a little too touchy feely with them. And at one point, it was a controversy with him and Donna, and how he was handling Jackie. And yeah, they got a little uncomfortable with him, the way he was doing things on set, man. They said he was getting a little too touchy feely. And that was getting a little tension between some of the co stars too with him.
Now, see, I find it interesting because it's always gonna be them rumors that certain co-stars was dating co-stars, but according to these two, they really wasn't hooking up like that during the show. They kind of got romantically involved after the show,
Yeah.
which I
It was
found
like
interesting.
right after. It was exactly right after. And it kind of caught
Mhm.
people off guard. It didn't catch us off guard because they've been acting and they was like, sweethearts on the show. But then, it was like, okay, it kind of makes sense them doing the show all these years. So yeah, you'd have thought something to finally click between them two.
Right. And but no, it's like this dude here, man. He had an interesting adventure of a time during that show. Because remember, at first, he was just a little weird kid. And again, if you think about it, some of them first few years of the show, my man's did kind of bold. It was some racist type stuff that kind of went on with that,
Oh,
especially with
absolutely.
him and Red. I mean, just the fact
Yeah.
that he named him the foreign kid. You know what I'm saying?
No, the whole crew did because remember when he said his name, and a lot of people don't know when he said his original name when that bell rung, he said all the cast members' last name, and that's why his name was so long. And that's when he stopped saying it, and they was just like, "Man, we just gonna call you Fez, foreign exchange student," and that's where they got that name from.
But again, the foreign kid, that was more Red's thing. He called him that more than anybody.
Yeah, and what he was saying, he was gonna ship him back to his island. He was always saying
Right.
stuff like that.
And again, I don't think we ever really found out exactly where he was from. We just
Yeah,
figured it was somewhere in the Caribbean around in there somewhere. But
because
no, I mean, the middle years it was like him, okay, his whole mission in life was to eat candy and do it. Somehow, some way he had to figure out a way to do it.
he definitely did. Cause remember with the crazy chick, man, on the show, Caroline, she
Good
was on
old
the
Caroline. Oh Lord. I love you, Fizz. For real. Like,
that was
what
another
you
good
done?
episode. I had just got that flashback. Remember that episode, man, when they were at like the restaurant, and that's when Kelso did the dine and dash. And
Mm-hmm.
when he first did it, I think Jackie was pissed off, and then that's when Donna was like, "No, he's not going to pay. You guys, you think he's going to pay? He already told us what he's going to do. He's going to get the food and he's going to run off." And then
Right.
that's when Eric was like, "Was that true?" And he was like, "Yeah." He was like, "You guys are part of the dine and dash escapades." And that's when they was getting their food, or somebody be like, "Well, man, I'm about to go talk to my dad, and he'll take care of the situation," and they'll leave off. And they basically left it to the point where it was nobody left but Jackie and Eric, and they had to run out of there and make their way out. Yeah, that was one of the funnier episodes, man. On
But
that.
no, part of why I like that 70s show too, it reminded me a lot of Saved by the Bell. Because some of those episodes seem to almost be based on some of the stuff that happened on Saved by the Bell.
Mm.
Keeping in mind that, Saved by the Bell was pretty much late 80s, early 90s. That 70s show was like a few years after that. So it kind of made sense that some of that stuff was, like,
Collaborate.
yeah.
Collaborate. I want to know.
Like when they started to have them come to the restaurant all the time. That wasn't nothing but the Max.
Yeah. But they used to be at that restaurant hard too. That's why they've been a lot of the women too. Because remember when Faz first met old girl, Lindsay Lohan, because he was dating her at the time when they was
Right.
at when Kelso tried to steal her away. No, I think Kelso was with her
Mm-hmm.
at one point, but
Yeah,
then she
right.
ended up going to
Yeah. And then,
Fez,
he
and then
smooth
Kelso
talked his way
told her
in
back.
there.
Yeah. Because Fez told him what he be doing, like how he listened to the
Now,
girls
if
in
I
the
remember
conversation.
correctly, at one point they was actually dating in real life.
They were, yeah. That's what I
Yeah.
was saying. They were a couple. They were
But
definitely.
again, like I said, you see this dude, he done dated a few Hollywood cuties. I mean, it makes sense. The brother, he got that look to him,
Yeah, because I remember he definitely was one of the ones who kind of reminded me of like the underdog because nobody wanted to be with him. But remember the episode 2 when he was at Eric's house all the time. But when they finally went to go visit him, I forgot what happened to him. I think he must have got dumped or somebody broke up with him. And
Uh-huh.
when it happened, he was sad and he didn't want to get out the house and he was in his underwear in his bed. But when they went over there and they finally went over his house and they seen how fun his house was and how cool his parents was, they was over his house, tearing up his house, man. And
But see,
they
if I remember right, that was like his second set of parents. Remember, early on, he kind of had the real religious parents.
yes.
And that's
Yeah,
why he
because
was always coming over their house because they was too strict over there.
Yeah, because I think that's when Steve had like a Barry Manilow album and he put like something like AC/DC or something in there.
Right.
And and he switched up the records. But yeah, you're right. Dang, because I remember the second set of parents was kind of cool though, man. They were a little bit more laid back, but yeah, dang, I forgot all about that one. I'm glad you mentioned that because his parents were super religious.
And then of course a couple of the stars of the show that wasn't really stars, but definitely was a part of the show. Of course, the Vista Cruiser. A lot of stuff
Oh,
happened in the Vista Cruiser, dog.
Mr. Cruiser was the one because remember in that pilot episode, they went to that concert, and that's when Eric was trying to get with Donna. Because remember, I think by that time, Kelso and them already messed around and he kept telling everybody he was going to break up with her.
Right. And
But I'm
if I
about to hit
remember
you.
right, they had their first kiss on top of the car.
That is the Cruiser. But I'm
Yep.
going to tell you something, Evan. I'm going to tell you, hit you with a funny episode too. Remember the one when they all went and they was going to Van Stock?
And
When,
of course, that leads to the second car I was going to mention.
yeah, because
With
remember
Kelso's
when,
van.
yeah, the shaggin' wagon. Because
The
remember when,
shaggin' wagon. Yes,
when they
sir.
was about to go to that Van Stock, he was gonna bring Lori, and then Steve snuck her in to the van, and that was one of my favorites too because it was like it caught him off guard, but he had both of his girls with him, and yeah, I thought that was pretty
Yeah,
controversial,
because
but it
I
was
think
pretty
I
good
think
too.
Kelso broke off at least about 4 people in the van, if I remember right.
Yeah, because he messed around with of course her, Jackie,
Yep.
and then Lori. I'm trying
And
to
then the
see.
slutty cheerleader that we never saw, but they always talked about.
Yeah,
The one with the big
I forgot her name
I
on
can't think
there
of her
too.
name either.
I remember her because that's when every time that's what he was always cheating on Jackie with, it seemed like
Right,
too.
yeah.
I forgot her name,
I
man.
can't
That's
think
funny
of
because
it
like
either.
you said, we've never seen her
And I
before.
want to say him and old girl did it in the band too. The Jessica Simpson character.
Of course.
Yeah.
That van was pretty unpopular too, man. But yeah, High had some pretty good episodes too, because High was with the black girl on there. That was on one of our shows too. Zaria, he was on there. I don't think you remember that.
Yeah,
You
right,
remember he was with Zaria at one point when they all was trying to hook him up at a
right.
party. Remember that episode when they had everybody together trying to hook him up with some
Reagan
boy?
Preston Gomez, that's her
Yeah,
name. Of course, y'all remember her from the Parenthood, and of course from the movie with her and Nick Cannon, Love Don't Cost a Thing.
yeah. But yeah, that was funny though, man. Because when we just started talking about it, I was like, yeah, I definitely remember that episode when they was trying to find him a girlfriend.
Yep. And then of course, like I said, Hyde's sister on the show who ended up being black, and she hooked up with Kelso. Pretty girl. Pretty
She
girl.
was with him for a minute too, because I remember in real life she was with Chris Rock for a minute.
Yep,
Yeah,
you're right about that. And then of course, like I said, all type of people that came on the show, we just kind of forgot. Like Bruce Willis at one point was on the show.
yeah, he was like one of the people in there, like a model or something. Well, he was a radio station guy, and he had
Right.
like he was wearing a toupee. I remember that when he was on there. And then I'm trying to see some other people
Right.
in
Then
there.
remember Luke Wilson, who played Kelso's brother. He was on the
Yeah,
show for a while. Him and
yeah.
Donnie kicked it for a minute.
I forgot his name on the show, but he was hilarious on the show because remember, Kitty was in love with him.
Right.
And then Josh Myers, Seth
Remember, he
Meyers'
was coming
brother.
out the military and,
Mhm.
kind of hung out for a minute. Who
But
else?
wasn't he a little too old for them?
Yeah.
He was definitely an older dude on there.
Gloria Gaynor, who played Mrs. Clark on the show. Now, if y'all remember the song I Will Survive, yeah, she was
He
on the
did sing
show for a little
there.
bit.
Yeah,
It's one of the teachers, as I recall.
he definitely was one of the teachers.
Yeah, comedian Jim Gaffigan. I know y'all remember that dude. He played one of their bosses on the show. I think he was like their boss at the hotel when they worked in the little restaurant in the hotel.
Yeah, he was funny on there. I liked
Oh,
him,
no
man.
doubt.
He was really funny. And then my man's I'm trying to figure out, man. It just slipped me, because he was like one of the people on the show too. It was a lot lot of funny people. My man's from Home Improvement was on there. Remember, that was Tommy Chong's cousin.
Right. I mean, and of course, you can't forget about Tommy Chung, who was basically the oldest person on the show on the regular. But, it's like for those people that were older people that were fans of the show, it was because of him. Because remember, when we talk about smoker culture and whatnot, if you was in the 70s, early 80s, you definitely know about the Cheech and Chong movies and what they was about.
It was Casey Kelso.
There we go.
What's his name? Casey Kelso. That was Kelso's older brother. And
Right.
then people forgot too. Shannon Doherty was on there, man. No, I said Shannon Doherty. I'm sorry about that. Shannon Elizabeth, the girl who played on American Pie.
And see, it's funny because you get her mixed up with her. I always get her mixed up with Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Yeah, she was definitely Kelso's baby mama on there.
Right. After they one night stand after the concert.
So yeah, it was a lot of people on there, man. That I remember the little chick who played what was that movie? It was like one of our TV shows that came on too. I know her real name, but just don't remember. It was Melissa Joan Hart. What was that? What she played?
Yep.
What was the show she played on?
Sabrina Melissa Joan Hart played on Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, because she was on there, and it was so many people, like you said.
Right. And she played on Joey and Melissa. That show that went on. That was like not the Disney Channel, but that other ABC channel, the Family Channel. There we go.
And then remember Curtis Armstrong, my man from Revenge of the Nerds, was on there. He was Donna's boss on the radio station.
And see, then of course, another thing that it played into was the whole nerd culture because Eric was a big ass Star Wars fan. So
remember, and we definitely slip and eat because I know one of the people that was on the show that we definitely ain't think about, man, which a lot of old school people gonna remember, Billy D. Williams. Remember, he was there.
Sure was on the show. You're right about that.
Because remember when they was talking and Donna was like, he always do nerdy things like, watch Star Wars. And, he was right there on it. And he was like, man, I don't know why I'm marrying her. I should be marrying you because he was making fun of them, calling them nerds.
Right. And remember, y'all, like I said, we kicking it, but y'all got comments and stuff. Keep bringing them in. Chime on in. It's all good.
But it was some funny people on there, man.
Oh, and then, of course, another episode I remember the wrestling episode when they all went to go see the wrestling match.
Cool. Yeah. And what was so cool about it was like some of the third generation wrestlers was playing their parents, like how The Rock played his dad on there on that set.
Right.
And then they had the Hardy Boys. They had some of everybody on there.
They had Vader on there, if I remember right.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty good episode as well.
Yeah, it was.
We talked about
when they went to the Packer game. It was that one.
That one was funny too when Eric wore the Walter Payton jersey.
Yeah.
To a fight in the arena. Yeah, that was another classic one, man. And then we can't forget about our man's Seth Green, too. He was on there. Pretty good episodes that he was on.
Yeah, trying to get with Donna and whatnot. So, that was a little crazy for a minute. Let me just stuff that people did as kids that was always getting them in trouble. I mean, them first couple seasons, seemed like half of their adventures was always involving them trying to get some beer.
Yeah.
Like when they broke in Red's refrigerator and stole the beer.
Remember the infamous episode, when they almost got into a crash and they was like, what's this in the middle of a road? Somebody had a keg.
Right. And they ended up having a keg party at the pool.
At Jackie's parents, because she was a real estate agent and they was at the pool over there, man.
Yep.
The keg. That was another.
At the bottom of the pool having a party, right? And that's another thing, it seemed to me like, remember, early on, they was always at Eric's house, right? Yeah. But then later on in the seasons, they started hanging out at Donna's house a lot.
More, I think, because of the parents broke up, man. And it was like Bob was letting her do whatever she wanted to do, remember?
Right. So, but even back in the day, Bob and them really wasn't at home as much. And when they was always doing it. So it seemed like they would have more space to do stuff at Donna's house.
Pretty much.
And it's right there, next door. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
But yeah, they never really hung out at her house as much at first until like going into the second and third season when the parents finally divorced.
Right. Oh, again, another episode that recently played, the infamous Granny Panty episode.
Oh yeah. The one that was hooping and Eric pulled down their pants because he was losing. Yeah.
Right. And
That
straight
was funny.
embarrassed her. Oh, remember the episode when her and Jackie got to fighting on site? Like every time they see each other, they kept fighting.
I wanted to know what that fight was all about too.
I don't even remember. But it's like, they just kept like, well, I ain't mean to fight. Well, I ain't mean to fight you. And they start fighting all over again.
I've definitely remembered them fighting more than they should. Cause like I remember episode 2 when, I think when Kelso did with the Lindsay Lohan when they was trying to steal it from each other. And they was like, man, just let bygones be bygones. And then, that first they kind of fought a little bit and then they hugged it out. And they got into a fight on that episode.
Right.
Like it was like that was their little thing.
And man, Hyde was always slapping Kelso upside the head.
Yeah, they had like a love-hate relationship, man. But then I think out of the friends, they were supposedly the best friends until him and Eric got real tight when he moved in with Eric.
Well, no, think about it, because remember, Kelso and Fez kind of was the best friends for a while. Because they even lived together for a minute, didn't they?
But it was more like a power couple with them almost. Because remember,
Right.
it was like Hyde and Kelso used to hang around each other all the time. But then that's when Kelso ended up, like you said, hanging with Fez, and that's when Hyde ended up going and moving in. Because remember when they went over to the parents' house and found out the mother wasn't there.
Yeah.
And that's when he moved in with Eric them, and that's when they got really close. And it was Kelso and Hyde always hanging. I mean, Kelso and Fez always hanging around each other.
Oh, remember the episode when Kelso shot him with the BB gun?
Man, that one, with that when he shot him in the eye, he ain't even shoot him, man.
Right.
He was trying to make him feel bad for him, and he was just doing all types of stuff for him. And that's when he found out that he didn't shoot him in the eye because he took that patch off to get a better aim.
Right.
Yeah, that was another good
All
one too.
type of crazy stuff. But no, we always got to talk about the quote unquote jump the shark moment. Truthfully, for me, the jump the shark moment was the wedding. Because remember, Donna and Eric was supposed to get married. It came out of the wedding day, and Eric punk ass ran. Got scared, left. That should have been the end of the show right there.
Yeah. Because what happened, they ended up making up afterwards.
Right.
Kicking it, and then I think they was getting more serious, and then they was talking about moving out together.
Right, because remember they had broke up for a while, then they got back together, then they was talking about moving, and I think that's around the time when they was thinking about doing the spinoff with just them doing their thing. But no, I mean that last season, they pretty much could have kept that last season, bro.
I got that season just because it was a part of the set. Because after season 7, that was really it for me. Because remember when it got to the point where Kelso was upset because him and Jackie got into it again, and then it was like Eric them went through their situation. And when, Kelso was about to leave, remember that's when, Donna was like, let me join you. And they went off, and that's when they went and met Jessica Simpson. And they were saying she was like a blonde Jackie, and they was calling her Black on the show then. But yeah, it was funny because when she came back, it was because remember Eric went to go see her because Eric got in trouble because that summer, I forgot who took him, man, but I think he got.
They went in the van, remember? To California to go, yeah.
But yeah, you know what? Because he left her there. I remember he
Right.
did leave her there, and then that's where Eric came. But yeah, that was actually something I remember because that was a good episode too. When she ended up coming back home, of course she got in trouble, but then Eric really got in trouble. But that's when they started kicking it again.
But see, then of course in real life, what it really was that's when they really started getting popular and started getting movies and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they did a few movies.
That's why Topher Grace wasn't really in that last season because he had started to do the Spider-Man movie and a couple other things.
He wanted to go off,
so he wasn't in as many episodes because he was starting to do his acting thing. I think that's I think that's the year he did the movie with Bernie Mac,
Yeah, and then remember he did Dudes with My Car. He did
right?
Butterfly for School. So yeah, he was definitely
Friends
in a
with
few movies
Benefits. That's what
at
him
that
and
time.
Mila
Yeah,
Kunis did, you know. So
yeah. So he was definitely busy.
right, and then the
But yeah,
people they basically was replacing him with, I mean, the whole Seth Meyers' brother Josh,
wasn't really feeling him. That's when it took a
at
tumble.
all. And then of course I think they got rid of basically all the black folks, so that didn't help. And
Yeah, they
you
was
know, just that
definitely.
last year was just kind of let's piece this together and finish it on up. I mean, yeah, I kind of like a couple of the last episodes. I mean, the fact that Jackie and Fez finally hooked up after all them years, but that was after all these years of Fez being a little bozo and couldn't get on. That last year, all of a sudden, he a player.
You don't remember how he became a player, didn't you?
I think it all started when he started working at the hair salon.
Yeah, when he was the shampoo boy, because
Yeah,
they would say he was good with his fingers, and he started being more arrogant, and he basically got his mojo then because Donnie was
right.
like, I don't want to go after all those old ladies in the sink because that'd be gross. And he was like, man, you gonna go whenever I tell you to go. And then, she kind of liked his arrogance or his confidence, if you may say. And
Right.
that's why he started messing around with a lot of the women. Like, what was the one chick? Because we already know Nina, because
That
we
I mean,
already
once he
know
did it
about
with the DMV girl, that
yeah,
stepped up to that next level. But then, of course, that's when Jackie started liking him after all
yeah.
these years of her rejecting him and whatnot.
Because remember, he had a plethora of women that was coming through their apartment because she went through and she was at her lowest. And I think when they really started kicking it over, because remember the episode when Mary Tyler Moore, of course, that was when it was her boss,
Jackie was
and
a
she
yeah,
wanted somebody to be
Jackie's
on the
boss,
TV
right?
show. Yeah. And at the time, she ended up lying and then, saying, Fez was a boyfriend. And, that episode kind of led to a little more because he might not thought nothing about it because he had women all the time coming through the house. But that's when she was like, he took me in when nobody else did. And that's when she started having feelings for him.
And it's crazy because remember when Red got fired and then he ended up getting the other job and then he ended up being Eric's boss. Them
Yeah.
episodes was crazy.
Oh, yeah, when they was in the food store. Yeah.
Right.
And he worked there for a minute too, didn't he? He was
Yeah,
like a
he did.
manager or something there.
And then he eventually ended up getting his own little shop or whatever.
But
But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I kind of wonder what it would have been like if they actually had moved down to Florida,
I
because
definitely
it was one of those scenarios where I think they had intended on doing a season 9, but because everybody had blew up and they couldn't, you know, at that point everybody wanted to get money. Because remember, that's right around the time when Friends started to blow up, and they
yeah.
was getting big time money. But that 70 show and Friends was two totally different shows, people.
And let's talk about that spinoff that never was. I'm not even talking about that 90s show.
Nope,
Remember when they tried to rush and do that 80s show because how well that 70s show was doing?
I do
It
recall
felt
that.
like it was too rushed, man. I think it would have been a better idea if they just let that 70s show do its thing from the time from the 1970 to 1979. Because remember that last episode, it was like the 80s. And that's
Right,
when the license plate switched to the 80s. They should
right.
have did that 80s show then and had some of
Mhm.
them featured in it with new people in the actual show and brought 80 people into the show like how they did with the 70s. But they rushed it and it just didn't really click on with people. We were still trying to see how it was in that 70s show, and the 80s show never had a chance. And I think that if they would have did that idea, it would have escalated and did a little better.
Right. So then, of course, fast forward several years later, y'all, we end up getting that 90s show. Now, remember, I don't even think we would have got that 90s show if not for the pandemic, Hugh. Because the one thing about the pandemic that a lot of people liked was because they weren't able to do the shows that was regularly on TV, they went back to the old shows and started showing
Yeah.
a lot of them. And because people started watching a lot of that, because remember, a lot of us was in the crib, not social distancing and all that bullshit. So a lot of people was watching them shows from back in the day. So all of a sudden, everybody had an interest. Like, okay, I wonder what would happen if they did a show now. And so all those shows started popping out, the Fuller Houses and the Punky Brewsters and all of that. So we eventually get that 90s show as okay, kind of where is Kitty and Red now? And of course, they still at Park Place, still at the crib. But now Donna and Eric's daughter is the main character, and the new friends consist of part of the people that still live down there and some new people.
Yep, like Kelso, his kid, Jackie and Kelso, of course.
Right. And but truthfully, part of what messed that up was this dude right here, man.
I'm trying to see who I'm
This
pulling
dude.
up. And don't throw nobody under. Oh yeah, damn.
I mean, because think about it. Because the thing was, they didn't want nothing to do with
Oh,
him.
they cut ties with him quick after that, which I
They
understand.
didn't even want him mentioned or none of that. So, in an ideal world, a Hyde daughter, son, something like that definitely would have been part of the show. But because they basically almost played it like he didn't exist, I don't even think they even mentioned him in that
They
90s
don't. They don't. They never mentioned
at
they never
all.
mentioned him at all.
And keep in mind, everybody kind of makes some type of little appearance or mention in them first, but in the only couple seasons of that 90s show. Season one was good. Season two, yeah, that's where they lost us, dog.
And it really got good around like the middle part of it, when Leo and you start seeing the feds come around more and some of the older characters coming around. Because
Right.
I think did even Casey come on the episode before?
Yeah, I
I
want to
know
say
Kelso
he did,
did.
yeah. Then of
Yeah,
course
but you
Donna came back for a couple episodes, and yeah,
Chung, yeah, it was everybody coming back, and that was cool because I think my man Jay and Silent Bob was on there.
right,
And it was cool because you start seeing some of them 90 people who was
right. Because
in
if
the
I
show.
remember right, they had an episode where they went to the memorabilia show for the wrestlers, and who was that? Was that Dolph Ziggler? Was he one of the
Yeah,
people on it? Yeah, I think
yeah.
so.
There was a lot of people, like a lot of celebrities that was coming on the show, and it was
Right.
actually pretty cool because it was like some of the characters, man, it was like you didn't even have really no clue who they were, and they didn't really have no existence because they wasn't part of the old team. Like, the mixed young lady who was on there, who was on the show with her mom, her
Yeah, the one that played the best friend. Yeah.
yeah, it was like, man, it wasn't really no purpose for her and the brother and a lot of the people who was on the
I
show,
mean, I really think
cast
the
members.
reason why that show didn't really catch on was because it was on Netflix. I think
Yeah,
it would have did better on regular television
of course, because a lot more
or
people
even on
didn't
the Disney
see it.
Channel.
Because Netflix, man, if you don't have it, you ain't gonna have it, and you ain't gonna be able to
I mean,
see
because
things.
think about it again. A lot of people wasn't really watching it because they was watching, they was going back and doing binge watching of the old shows. Like if I remember right, like early on that second season, the most popular television show on Netflix was people going back to watch the Parkers and Moesha. And they talked about doing a reboot of that, but Brandy wasn't really happening. Then of course, what was going on with Miss Nikki Parker, also known as Monique, and wasn't nobody trying to touch her at that point.
Pretty
So,
much, they all felt like she was toxic.
and on her end, she felt like she got did because she ain't getting her residuals for the Parkers. And as far as I know, to this day, that's kind of the case where she ain't getting nearly as much as she should be, and that's like one of the more popular reruns out here.
More popular spinoffs too, man.
Exactly.
But yeah, they kind of tanked that '90s show, man. I don't even know how long it's gonna be on, if they're gonna have
Well,
another
no, no,
season.
no. It's done. It's done.
Okay.
They canceled it out. I mean, because it was like I said, they had some good premises in there, but again, they kind of got a little too evolved into the kids' characters and what they was doing. They was doing a little too much, a little too much. And then, of course, the main character, the daughter, she didn't really carry the show like you needed her to. You know what I'm saying? I kind of was more interested in some of the other characters more so than
Yeah.
her.
But I was more interested when Tommy Chung was on there and like more or less a kitty and what Red was doing
Yeah,
versus.
when they brought Bob back to the show.
Yeah, definitely was loving when Bob came back when he moved back to his old house too. That made for more comedy too. It was good to see Bob. But yeah, it wasn't like no matter what they tried to do to give it that spark, it just never hit the audience like we thought that it was. Because like we enjoyed the first season, but it just seemed like they were trying to overdo it that second season. It just wasn't clicking with the audience.
Agreed. Well, like I said, I don't know. Y'all wasn't commenting quite as much this week as that. Maybe this wasn't quite the show you wanted. But don't worry, we got other shows we talking. Next week gonna be a real interesting project we got going. What we talking next week, you?
I forgot, E.
Now how you forget that? I know you ain't forget for real.
Welcome to Dairy. I can't wait.
Welcome to Dairy.
I don't know if they're gonna be ready for it, though, man. It's like, is it really, man? Hit us in the comments, man. I mean, y'all ain't did it yet. We appreciate the people who shouted us out and came in for a minute and showed love.
All right, Coach Dino checking in again. Yeah, he checked out True. Yeah, he basically saying True. This wasn't really him. Yeah, so for y'all that like the spookies, because keep in mind, on the one hand, me myself, I don't like the horror movies, the spookies and whatnot, but I know a lot of y'all do. So we're trying to talk all the movies and shows that everybody likes to watch. So as a result, I've been doing my little research on Welcome to Dairy, and it's an interesting plot scenario with it all that you definitely got to be involved in. My brother Hugh definitely put me up on some stuff. I'm gonna do some more reading and research and whatnot. So next week we will talk Welcome to Dairy and maybe get into a little bit of the Stranger Things as well, since a lot of people is liking to pit them two shows against each other right now.
You already know who won in the end, so I don't even really care.
I mean, in the end, neither one of them because I ain't watched neither one of them. But like I said, we're gonna check it out.
You
And
can
then of
say what
course,
you want to say, E. You seen them ratings, man. Ratings don't
hey,
lie.
ratings don't lie, true enough. But again, uh, the following week after Welcome to Dairy episode, we're gonna do. Yeah, y'all really gonna like that next one. I know a lot of people have already asked for us to talk about that show, so we're gonna leave that as a surprise for you. But
Better yet, if in the comments, let us know if y'all want the Welcome to Dairy
yeah,
episode.
Coach Dino and Red, all that, y'all still in the house. So, let us know what type of shows y'all want us to talk about. Because we definitely got some in mind, but we also want some of y'all suggestions as well.
We could
I done
definitely
heard
pull
a
it
few
all.
that people done put out there. Some of y'all definitely want us to talk more about some of the shows with African American cast. Some of y'all want us to talk about some of the dramas. We ain't talked no dramas yet. We definitely gonna talk about dramas like Dallas and Dynasty. We're gonna throw some of that discussion in there at some point. Some of y'all want us to talk old stuff. I know somebody mentioned they want us to do an episode about the Dukes of Hazzard. Definitely want to talk about that show. I watched that show as a kid.
I was young at that time. I watched some of the episodes, don't remember a lot though.
Okay, well, that give you some research to do. See what I'm saying? So yeah, definitely. Like I said, we are taking y'all suggestions, but also we got our shows because it's some shows we watch to this day, all day, every day. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank y'all for tuning in. We appreciate y'all. You got any comments before I make mine?
No, I definitely appreciate everybody who chimed in, but at the same time though, man, let us know if you want us to do another show, or if you feel like we get enough votes or get enough comments on something else we could do. We could definitely postpone the Welcome to Dairy, what we was about to do, and we could jump right into that to get more of the audience, because we definitely want y'all feedback and we want y'all to have more of an interaction with the show as well.
Say ooh wee. All right. But yeah, like I said, let us know y'all suggestions. We are definitely taking them because, like I said, we want this to be an interactive show where y'all comment and check in and let us know some of y'all favorite episodes and characters and whatnot as well. Not just us reminiscing and whatnot. Because, like I said, we're going to do that anyway. More times than not, every other day we on the phone talking and we'll be watching something like, oh, yeah, you remember this? You remember that? Because that's what we do. We talk TV in real life. You feel me? But also, before we go, can I do a little advertisement, sir, if you don't
Sure.
mind? As y'all know, last year I had my own radio station that I was doing, Nighthawk Network Radio. Well, Nighthawk Network Radio has fell on hard times, good people. And as a result, in talking to the board of governors of the station, we have determined at this time that we're going to shut Nighthawk Network Radio down. So more than likely, it will not be back on the air. But in the meanwhile, we do have something else for you guys to check out. Okay, hold on. Dino said, I be thinking. I talk too much already. That's about with him. But okay, no. Actually, I now have a new radio station project that I am working with, and it is called Ebook Radio. Ebook Radio that I'm doing on a platform called RDIOAI. And the interesting part about it is part radio station, part AI integrated station, which means that during parts of the day on the station, a AI voice will come on and talk to you about the news or the weather or give you a station ID or give you a quick little promo and whatnot. But also the interesting thing about this particular station, ebook radio, all of these songs on my ebook radio will be AI created music. AI created music only. So that means that most of the songs, in fact, damn near all the songs that I've made, I'm putting on the station. But also, I'm looking for people who are also AI music creators, people like my good friend Road to Stardom, that's probably still in the building. We're going to get some music from her to put on the station. I've been talking to my brother Red, my brother Big Meech. They got some songs for us. I'm even trying to get my man Hugh to put some music on because he has the technology.
Mhm.
I just got to get him to do it. It ain't his thing, but it's his thing at the same time. Y'all remember that show last week he was on with Ro? He knows some stuff about music. Do I have to pay you to do the music, Hugh? Is that what it is?
No.
Make some quality grub? I bet you make the music.
I
I got him, y'all. I got him.
I figure out something, man. Most definitely.
Yeah. Finally hook that damn chili up this weekend. We'll talk, right? Right?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't mind doing it, but just we'll talk at the end of the show.
Yeah,
I just
we'll discuss. But anyway,
trying to
nonetheless,
find a
y'all,
platform.
we got that station going for y'all. And the good thing about it is I don't have to worry about the board of trustees and whatnot and what we're going to do monetary wise because that station is free, 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 free. It's free for me to do and free for y'all to listen to. DJing says Dino, yeah, there will probably be some DJ mixes on there eventually of the AI music because I am able to do that as well. I can do the turntables. That is one of my skill sets. But yeah, so definitely what you do is you go to my Facebook page, Eric Buckner, and there is a link that I have pinned on there that will take you to the radio AI station that is my station, which is eBuck Radio. You also Ro got to set that up on her page, but she also has a station on Radio AI. She was the one who put me on, matter of fact. Thank you, Ro. And her station, Road to Stardom Radio, is also on that platform, so you can check that out. Hers is AI music, also people that are independent artists. Dino says I do that too. I'm not surprised, Coach Dino. You are a man of many skills. We definitely need to kick it one day about all of that. We probably could collaborate on some things. Shout out to Coach Dino, who also, among other things, is a DJ and a comedian and a producer and a worker and everything else. That brother just multi-talented like that there. But anyway, yeah. So tune in next week, y'all. We should be talking Welcome to Dairy, unless, of course, again, we get a lot of votes for another show, in which case we'll talk about that show. But as always, I had fun. What about you, Hugh?
Absolutely. Definitely enjoyed the time on here.
Yeah, because keep in mind, that 70 show, because, we always like to tell y'all where y'all can find it. Y'all can go to Laugh TV on the digital dial. They have it come on pretty much every night from like 9 to 11. You also can catch it every now and then on Channel 50 here in Detroit. And you can also go to YouTube, and they usually do like a lot of clips and whatnot of the show. Matter of fact, it's this one clip where they talk about every time Red says dumbass. And it goes to all the different episodes where we talk about dumbass, or I'm gonna put my foot in your ass and all of that. That's kind of a cool little thing. Then of course there's another clip where all the episodes when they was in the circle,
Yeah.
you can check that one out also. And then I think it's another little clip, the Donna Eric story, that come with music. That one kind of corny, but it's on. But anyway, again, thank y'all. We appreciate y'all. We will join you again next Thursday to talk some more TV, Uncle Style, with me and my man Hugh.
Till next week.
All right, y'all. Time to play that theme song. Take us on out. Later.